really only a couple of months ago that we were here at Flemington to witness the carnival of all carnivals. Well, now as the temperature rises, summer is jam-packed with sport. Our attention swings from Brindabella to backhands, from freestyle to flippers. And today, back again to the Sport of Kings, as Headquarters plays host to a sizzling summer Sunday of racing on 10. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to fabulous Flemington, the course of history. For the next 2 hours, we'll be bringing you a sensational summer Sunday of racing, and there you see the runners on their way to the stalls for the first event this afternoon. And we welcome you to our coverage of racing here at Flemington. We'll be bringing you the first 4 races this afternoon, and the action gets underway in just a few minutes' time with the Latan Handicap over 1,100 metres. Then we'll move on to race 2, the Saab Mares Handicap, which is over 1,800 metres, and the starting time for that is at 1:40. Then the third race on the program, and this should be one of the interesting races of the day, the Mapati Nusantara Airlines Handicap at 2:13, and then the Uncle Toby's Handicap, race 4 at 2:46. And joining me here at Flemington this afternoon on a very pleasant day is Joe McKinnon. Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Well, I'm pleased that we're here today rather than the 41 degrees of yesterday, because it would have been unbearable, but it's going to be a pretty pleasant afternoon, I think.
Absolutely, and it's a lot better conditions for the horses here today as well.
Can you find us a winner?
Look, I think in race 3, the Toppy Tamarg is going to be very, very hard to beat today. Its run last start was excellent, of course, running a very close second to Miss Jugar, so I think that's the horse we watch out for today.
All right, Joe, well, let's check the track and weather conditions for racing here at Flemington today. The track is good. Weather partly cloudy. We're looking for a top temperature of 24 degrees, and the rail is out 4 metres for the entire circuit, and the penetrometer reading today is 4.47. Let's take a look at these runners now. In the first, only a small field of 5 and a couple of unraced here, so it's important that we have a look at those. And first of all, Our Excellency number 1, Joe, drawn furthest from the rail here in barrier 5 with the gates up against the outside fence. Stan Sakos claims 2.5, so actually comes in with a minimum weight here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that will be much to this horse's advantage. It did win strongly at Mornington last start, and as you just said, it is the best weighted horse in the field, so it has to be a good chance.
Yeah, she looks as though she's going to be hard to beat. Number 2, Lusk and Shower, which has drawn the rail, and barrier number 1, Jason Patton is the rider here.
Look, I think this horse has to have every chance as well. It was well beaten last start, but did show some tenacity in the finish, and I think the fact that it's back to 1,100 would suit it better, and it did certainly catch my eye in the yard. It looks very well. Yeah, 2 of the first starters here. Number 3, Country Control, is trained by John Maher here at Flemington, and obviously would have trialled up the straight, you would have thought. $22,000 yearling. Looked pretty fit in the mounting yard. Yeah, very impressive type of horse. I did hear earlier today, though, that it hasn't trialled up the straight here before, but of course we have to remember that the John Maher stable does have a very good record with the first starters, so this is certainly one to watch out for.
There's Country Control going up towards the start with Colin Alderson's runner there, Lusk and Shower. Number 4 is Sean Tartan, nicely bred horse by Coronation Day out of Southern Jewel. Rodney Griffiths takes the ride. Just looking at her appearance in the mounting yard, I think whatever she does today, she'll improve on.
Absolutely. It's very hard to judge with these first starters, but as a type, very nice.
And My Sweet Pamela, number 5, trained by Anthony Cummings, has only had the 1 run, and that was at Randwick, and Anthony wouldn't be bringing this filly down here for nothing.
No, she's been brought down here, I think, to contest some of the stakes races this autumn. Of course, you can't really go past her form last start. She did run 4th to Red Knight, which is a very impressive horse from the Max Lee stable, and that form should hold up today, and I think this horse could win this.
All right, what did you sum up in the first event on the card, the Latan Handicap?
Well, on top, I like My Sweet Pamela. From number 3, Country Control, and for 3rd, I've taken Our Excellency.
And there's that nice-looking grey filly, My Sweet Pamela, up behind the gates. Let's check the scratchings for today's program and the 4 races that we are covering. The first event is clear, as we said, race 2, and here you can take out number 13, Linaria, and number 15, Minuscule. 13 and 15 out of race 2. Third race on the program, and the scratching from race number 3 is number 4, and that is Golden Express, number 4 out of the 3rd. And from race 4, take out number 13, if you don't mind, number 13 out of the 4th race on the program. Let's check the tote figures as they stand for race 1. And there's not much here between Lusk and Shower number 2 And number 5, My Sweet Pamela. My Sweet Pamela showing $3.20 and $1.90. Luskin Shower, the second pick, round about the $3.80 and $2 mark. And also in the betting, number 3, Country Control, well in contention at $3.20. So they're the main three. Number 1, Our Excellency, $4.50, and big odds about Sean Tartan. So it's numbers 3 and 5, joint favourites here from number 2 and number 1. And certainly on appearances, Country Control is going to take some beating. There is the grey filly that we spoke about up behind the gates, and that's Anthony Cummings, representative here in My Sweet Pamela. And candidates are about to line in here for the first. Well, of course, it's important to find out exactly what is happening in the betting ring to see if there has been any money for any of the unraced here in the first. And keeping us up to date with what's going on in the betting ring this afternoon is Anthony Method.
G'day, Peter. How are you going? It's certainly a bit cooler down here than it was yesterday. There's a bit of action down here. The one they're coming for at the moment seems to be Country Control. It opened up very short. At the start of betting, it was a roundabout flip of the coin odds. It's drifted a little bit since then and is certainly backable, but it's come in on the tote dramatically in the last 10 minutes. Was showing about $5 a short time ago. It's come into $2.70, and they're about the odds you're getting here on track. My Sweet Pamela, the only one back to beat it, so it shapes as a race between two. That's the way the punters see it. The top two, Our Excellency and Luskin Shower, they've drifted in the betting, and it seems the first starter, Country Control and My Sweet Pamela, are the two to watch.
In the betting ring. And here's my old mate.
Hey, Pete.
Hello, Higgs. How are you?
Good, fine.
Courtesy of Sport 927, Roy Higgins will be joining us with his thoughts on the first 4 races. And what did you make of the unraced here especially, Roy?
Well, we haven't got a lot of time here. They're going into the gates. I did go with the 5 here, My Sweet Pamela, one from the Anthony Cummings camp. She's had that one run at Randwick. She showed a lot of speed on that occasion. Bit of a racy type, quite a neat filly. I marked her on top of number 2 here, Luskin Shower. Nice run at only start at Caulfield. This filly has really gone ahead. I look for a big run from her. The first starter here in Country Control. Johnny Marr's got this very forward in condition, this filly. Did look well. And of the other one, Our Excellency, top weight, she won at Mornington, not her only start. But I think it's between really the 5 and the 2. They look the better 2 through the yard.
OK, Roy, and we'll look forward to catching up with you.
I look forward to that.
Each of the first 4 races.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Roy Higgins, courtesy of Sport 927. They're moving in pretty well for the first race on the card. So let's go down and survey the scene down there at the gates here for race 1 at the 1100 metres. And there you can see John Marr's runner in Country Control coming up. Gates placed up against the outside rail here over the 1100 metres, and drawn on the inside is Luskin Shower. So there is what the straight course looks like, the famous straight course here at Flemington, almost at the top of the straight 6 for the Latan handicap over 1100 metres. 2-year-old fillies. Here's the top one, Our Excellency, coming up. It'll go into gate number 5, Stan Sakos claiming 2.5 kilos, so they're just about ready for the running of the first race on the card. And the last one will be Anthony Cummings' filly, My Sweet Pamela, coming up with Michael Carson in the saddle. And then they'll be right for the scamper down the straight. Michael Carson bringing My Sweet Pamela up towards the stalls with a bit of assistance from the barrier attendants. Just a little bit reluctant, but in she goes now. So they're all set for the first. Courtesy of Sport 927, here's Brian Martin.
Set to run now. Stalls are back, they're off and running. Luskin Shower left the gate okay, so did Our Excellency, the furthest runner in, and so too My Sweet Pamela, and Country Control showing very good natural speed is running up towards the front. But Our Excellency has come across to lead now, 1.5 lengths in front of Country Control, 2 then to Luskin Shower. Outside it is My Sweet Pamela, and 2 last of all is the Sean Tartan as they go down towards the 700 metre mark. Our Excellency in front by a good 1.5 lengths to 1 3/4 lengths to Country Control, who comes to the outside of it now. 2 further back, Luskin Shower, 1/3 length, then further back was My Sweet Pamela, 4th, and 2 to Tan Shartan at the 500 metre mark now, and Our Excellency hard on the outside fence in front from Country Control, getting a little closer, and then Luskin Shower starting to drift back away from the fence. With it is the grey My Sweet Pamela. They're running on pretty well, and 2 further back, Tan Shartan. Keen affair here where Country Control's getting up now to Our Excellency. Over nearer the inside are My Sweet Pamela, Luskin Shower, and Tan Shartan getting a late run through. They're across the track with Tan Shartan going up to Our Excellency, and Luskin Shower. Our Excellency still in front, hard on the outside fence, and Our Excellency will get the prize. Our Excellency scores just over a length to either Luskin Shower or Tarn Sharton. Then further back in the race was My Sweet Pamela, and the Country Control is last of the 5 fillies.
Well, there you have it. After the first event, Our Excellency, Stan Sakos, took that filly straight to the front, and she looked as though she was travelling quite comfortably until round about the 250 metre mark, when the first starter, Sian Tartan, started to get through and really looked as though she was going to present a big threat to this one, Our Excellency, but hard up against the outside rail, and that's a big advantage for the babies here. They've got something to guide them over the last couple of 100 metres, and she was hard up on the rail for the 1100 metres. And with the claim of 2.5 kilos for Stan Sakos, that's made all the difference, and Our Excellency number 1 has got the money here in the first. After the photo, number 4 is second, Sian Tartan, ridden by Rodney Griffiths, and third placing goes to number 2, Luskin Shower, ridden by Jason Patton. So the numbers there, 1, 4 and 2. 1, 4 and 2. Great barrier manners from that filly, Our Excellency, just jumping straight out. She led by a length after they'd gone 30 metres. Found the rail from gate number 5, and that was very important, and beautifully ridden by this very promising apprentice in Stan Sakos. She's got the money and should pay $4.80 and $2.10 here in the first, $4.40 for the second place getter, Sian Tartan. There will be no third tote dividend for Luskin Shower number 2, with only 5 runners there in the first. So there are the interim dividends on race 1. And here is the replay. Our Excellency here, travelling pretty well. The horse of John Mars in second placing in the black and white Country Control. Also settled nicely for the rider Brett Preble. And you can see Sian Tartan last of the 5 there, and the rider Rodney Griffiths getting a little anxious. And he's asked her for an effort here. Sakos going for Our Excellency, and Sian Tartan, once it started to get the split, has come through here between Our Excellency and Country Control. Really did look as though it represented some sort of threat, but you can see there, that was a very good angle of the top one there, Our Excellency, being hard up against the rail, and Sian Tartan just starting to run about a bit in the last 100 metres, and that could have made a bit of a difference at the end of the race. Very promising young rider, Joe McKinnon, joins me after the race. I like the look of this young fellow, Stan Sakos, Joe. He's wise beyond his years, and he's got terrific hands on a horse too.
Absolutely, and of course with the Elkington camp, he's in very good hands with them, and he really is a very promising young rider.
So there are the dividends as they stand, pending correct weight, $4.80 and $2.10 for the winner, Our Excellency number 1. Trained by David Racavolis at Mornington, ridden by Stan Sakos. Second placing to Sian Tartan, number 4, $4.40, and no third tote dividend for number 2, and that is Luskin Shower. So as Our Excellency returns to scale, time for the race there was 1 minute 5.9 seconds on the first. We're off to a bright and breezy start here on Summer Sunday Racing on Network 10. We'll take a break and be back to Flemington for the correct weight signal on race 1 in just a moment. See the scene at the scales with Chairman of Stewards, Mr. Des Gleeson, and all of the riders here will weigh in. Normally we have 6 riders weighing in, just in case there is a protest, even 6th against 5th, with prize money going down to 5th. But of course Des will have all of the 5 riders there, and we'll check the correct weight signal in just a moment. Not quite up as yet. As I said, the time for the first was 1 minute 5.9 seconds, and there it is. Correct weight is there now after the running of race 1, brought to you by Saab. Correct weight on the first event here at Flemington, numbers there 1, 5 and 2. Our Excellency the winner. Second placing, 1, 4 and 2 I should say. Sian Tartan is in second placing, and third placing going to Luskin Shower. So the numbers 1, 4 and 2 after the running of race number 1 on the card. And with correct weight and the margins 2 lengths by a half head, the dividends $4.80 and $2.10 for the winner, Our Excellency. Sian Tartan second, $4.40. No third tote for Luskin Shower. Trifecta on the first paid $161.50, and the first Quinella return $27.80. So there are the dividends in race 1. Hope you're off to a winning start. And My Sweet Pamela was probably just a little bit disappointing there, Joe. Yeah,
I was very disappointed with her performance. She seemed almost reluctant really to go into the barriers, and if anything reluctant to race on. So it was a very disappointing performance.
Okay, well we've got 3 races to go in our telecast, and we're on to the Saab handicap for the mares, race number 2, which is due at 1:40. What did you make of this?
Quite a tricky race, this one. The top weight Royal Centuric has to have a great chance. My only concern with this horse is the weight, though she is dropping in class and back against her own sex again, so she's some chance. And of course, Fairway Lass, she's been very, very disappointing of late, but if she's going to make a comeback, I think it might just be today.
Yeah, she's probably the class runner of the race, Fairway Lass, and if she is to put her best foot forward, probably in a weaker field here today, I think you're right, this could be the opportunity for her. So what did you tip on top?
I'm going to take a risk here, and I'm going to tip Fairway Lass on top.
OK, Fairway Lass number 2 from Joe McKinnon in race 2, the Saab handicap. That is for mares, and that is time to commence at 1:40 this afternoon. There are the horses making their way back from the mounting yard up towards the birdcage area, where there's always plenty of activity on race days, and the preparations will be frantically going on for race number 2 on the card. And there is the opening tote call for the second race on the program. Royal Centuric showing $7.60, Fairway Lass $6.10, Bellatoolan $13, Corinthian Arch $10, Rhabarber showing $5, Bung Lung, interesting name, $16.30, Kitty's Wish $14.70, Baby showing $15, Miss Teresa $31, and then we go over the page to Baroka Vogue $32, Follow Suit $65, Caballo $14.30, Linaria's a scratching, Latilla's right in the betting, number 14 at $6.70, Minuscule number 15 is a scratching, and Amy's Blushing showing round about the $85 mark, so that's the tote call for race 2, the Saab handicap coming up at 1:40. Well, one of the most important men on the course is the judge, of course, and who can forget that duty that he had to perform on the first Tuesday in November, where a lot of us thought that Doremus had got up in the last ride and defeated Might and Power in the Foster's Melbourne Cup. Well, the judge literally has millions of dollars hinging on his every decision, and the judge here at Flemington is Mr. Les Benton. Let's see just how he does it.
When they hit the line locked together and all eyes turn to the semaphore board, you'll be sure of one thing. It's that the judge won't be looking for the number. In addition to his role as racing manager, Les Benton is the VRC judge and says there's no way he'll decide a result by the numbers. His view is coloured by the colours of the silks, that is.
Les, why do you look at the horses in the mounting yard?
Well, we've got a policy here in Victoria, and I guess worldwide, that all judges must understand a jockey's colours and not judge races by saddlecloths, because problems have arisen not only in this country but worldwide, where inexperienced people have judged races by the saddlecloth, and of course you can't always see saddlecloths in close finishes.
And have you ever been called before the chief steward to say why you gave the horse the photo?
Oh yes, we've explained the photo finish to the stewards, and in all cases we've been proven right. They're off. Okay, Le Mans is last. So we judge races in exactly the same manner as a course broadcaster will call a race. Okay, Le Mans coming around them, and Tauke's back on the fence in last place. Still Umrum in front. Here comes Le Mans out wide in the All Cerise. Umrum's won this, Tauke, Classic Day, Le Mans and Knowledge. Right, Umrum the winner is 2, Tauke is 3, Classic Day 5, Le Mans 4 and Knowledge 1. We'll just check those, Terry. 2, go through them please, 2, 3, 5, 4, and Knowledge will be 1, that's fine. Go down to the margins please, Terry. Winning margin is 2.5 lengths by a neck, just give us a breakdown on that smaller print please, Terry. 1, 2, 3.25 lengths. Thank you very much. Righto, the numbers are 2, 3, 5, 4, 1. Margins 2.5 lengths. A neck, 3.25. They ran a 123.1. And they jumped at 12:31.
Ah, yes, he's a very versatile fellow, Les Benton, perched high above the stands here at Flemington, and he's the judge for all of the meetings here at headquarters, and he's also the man responsible for bringing many of the overseas horses out for the Melbourne Cups in previous years. A lot more to come here on Summer Sunday Racing on Network 10. Hope you can stay with us. We'll take a break and be back to Flemington in just a moment. worldwide phenomenon, Riverdance. I think about 3 million people in Australia have seen Riverdance, and Connor Hayes is the only Australian, I believe, in the company. Connor, nice to see you.
Hi Peter, how are you?
You're a Melbourne boy, aren't you?
Yep, born in Ireland, but I've lived in Melbourne since I was about 2.
So how did you get involved in Riverdance?
I just sent over a video. I heard the auditions going, and I was lucky enough to get a reply back, and they said they wanted me in a month's time, so went over to England and started off from there.
It is a phenomenon, isn't it?
It is. It's like amazing how it keeps on growing, and I think they keep on expecting it to slow down, but it's just kept on going from the start.
It seems to me that it's the sort of pursuit that you would need to be pretty fit to partake in, because I've seen, you know, shots of the dancers and the sweat rolling off them, so you really would need to be a pretty fit person.
Yeah, you get a good workout during the show. It's like having a bit of going into a sauna and having a 2-hour run, really.
Do you think any of these jockeys that we're having a look at now attempting Irish dancing might possibly find a place in Riverdance? I'd say, just looking at them, the answer would be a definite no.
I think they should stick to the horses, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll swap roles. We won't get you to ride horses, and we won't get them to do Irish dancing.
That's the best thing, I think.
Now, the season of Riverdance, Connor, starts on the, I think, the 23rd of January?
23rd in Sydney, yep. They're coming down. I think they're flying at the moment from Ireland and England, so they'll be arriving there on Monday, I think, and starts in Sydney for 2 weeks on the 23rd, and then we're down to Melbourne on the 16th of February for another 2 weeks, and in all the other capital cities of Australia in between.
I have absolutely no doubt it will be just as successful as it has been in 3 years, with over 3 million people in Australia alone having a look at it. Thanks for joining us here today, and the best of luck with the season.
Okay, great. Thanks, Peter.
Connor Hayes from Riverdance, and I think we will keep those jockeys to what they do best, and that is riding horses. We won't get them to do any Irish dancing on Irish Day, which is Sunday the 8th of February, and we've got one of the feature races is the Lightning Stakes on that particular day, and also the Blamey Stakes is on the 8th of February. So we've got a lot to look forward to there, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for Sunday racing on the 8th of February. Well, as I said, the second race is due to commence at 1:40 this afternoon, the Saab Mares Handicap, and it's over 1,800 metres, and they'll start on the riverside of the course, so they've got a run of some 400 metres or so to the first turn, and with 2 scratchings, we've got a field of 14, so most of the runners should be able to occupy a position by the time they reach the turn at the 1,400. Then they're on almost a continuous bend between the 1,400 and round about the 450 metre mark, when they'll straighten up for the run home over this famous Flemington Straight. Well, Brian Mayfield-Smith is a man who has one of the candidates involved here in number 5, Rhubarber, and during the week Joe McKinnon caught up with Brian Mayfield-Smith at track work and asked him about this horse's chances in race 2.
Brian, in the Saab Handicap, you're lining up with Rhubarber. She was well fancied at Geelong last start. Can you expect an improvement on that performance this time round?
Well, I hope so, Joe. She's a bit unlucky at Geelong. She's sort of a one-pacer, and she needs to wind up, and she got blocked behind horses on the turn, and then she was loath to take a tight gap, and then she got squeezed out the last half furlong. If that wouldn't have happened, she'd probably only finished 3/4 length from the winner anyway, and put blinkers on her for Sunday, and that seems to have improved, and she's working very well. Very honest mare, you know. She tries hard, but she's pretty limited, and she needs everything to go right for her in a race.
What are you seeing as the toughest to beat in this race?
Probably the top weight, you know, but I mean, they're a pretty ordinary lot, really, as far as class goes. And I mean, Rhubarber couldn't show up in this, well, in her present condition. I mean, she's had 3 runs from a spell, so she should be cherry ripe to do her best.
There's the good oil from Brian Mayfield-Smith, and Rhubarber showing round about $4.70 on the tote. Candidates are coming into the mounting yard. We'll take a break from Flemington and be back to look at the field prior to the running of the Saab Handicap Race 2 after this break. Handicap for mares, 1,800 metres the journey, starting time 1:40. Joe McKinnon has joined me now, and let's take a look at these runners, Joe. And there is the top one, Royal Centuric, and she's probably the class mare of the race. She was placed in the Queensland Oaks last season.
Yes, that's right, down for here from Queensland, and in this race though she doesn't appear to be too well fancied, showing 780 on the tote at the moment.
Fairway Lass number 2 is your pick in the race, one trained by Cliffy Brown, who had tremendous success over the spring, and of course trained Markham into 3rd place in the Melbourne Cup, carrying those very colours. And Fairway Lass has the services of Damien Oliver, finished only 5 lengths from the winner in the Eclipse.
Absolutely. Look, she's racing down in class here now, and I think she really does have to have every chance to break back through and hit some form. And interestingly enough, she is starting favourite at the moment.
Yeah, not drawn all that well at 13 at the gate, and neither is number 3 Bella Tool in this grey mare. Probably shapes as a stayer though, and good to see Michael Clark back in the saddle here in Melbourne.
Yes, it is great to see him back. He's been riding overseas in Macau and also in Dubai. But this horse has some hope. It's a smart country galloper. Did fight on gamely last start, and I think the fact that it's racing over more ground should suit better today.
Number 4 is Corinthian Arch, trained by Robbie Griffiths at Cranbourne and ridden by Rodney Griffiths. Again, drawn a little wide in gate number 11, but shouldn't have any trouble with the journey the way it's racing.
Yes, it's very fit and certainly does look very fit in the mounting yard there. Blinkers on for the first time. Last start it did tend to fade a little bit in the finish, but I think the step back in distance should suit here.
Number 5 is Rhabarber. We've already heard Brian Mayfield-Smith talk about the chances of this particular mare. Was well fancied at Geelong and was beaten by a pretty smart one in Lectus.
Yes, this horse I think has a good chance here today. As Brian said earlier, really, if she can't sort of hit her straps here today, then she'll probably have to go back to some restricted races in the bush. She hasn't had all that much luck in running her past few starts. If the luck goes her way today, she's got to have every chance.
Number 6 is the interestingly named Bung Lung, trained by Ross Gourley at Cranbourne, ridden by Sally Wynn, and should race up on the speed from barrier 1, I think, Joe.
Absolutely. Well drawn and certainly well weighted with 51.5 kilos. The horse has hit a bit of form, and I think the extra 200 metres could test today, though.
Kitty's Wish, number 7, is trained by Jeff Daffy at Camperdown, ridden by Nigel Seymour, and should be fitter after a couple of runs back this preparation.
Yes, Pete, it certainly is fit, this horse, but probably more suited to restricted bush races.
And the interesting runner, number 14, down the bottom, Latilla, trained on the track by John Sadler here at Flemington, has been getting back and running on over shorter journeys, drawn barrier number 15, so the chances are that once again she'll probably get back and be running on at the end.
I think she could be a little bit of a smoky in this field, and she's certainly come in the betting, now showing $7.90 on the tote. She has a tendency to be a bit of a non-winner, but today I think she might have a chance to break through.
So in summary, can you give us your top 3 tips here for race number 2?
Well, I'm sticking with Fairway Lass in the hope that she can hit some form today, and I'll take Rhabarber for second. I think if the luck goes her way, she'll run a good race.
Yeah, I thought Rhabarber would be hard to beat. And what about for a third pick?
And for third, the top weight Royal Centuric.
Okay, there are the totes as they stand at the moment, and Royal Centuric is round about the $7.60 mark. Fairway Lass $6.30, Bella Toolin $12, Corinthian Arch $9.10. Rhabarber is the favourite on the tote at $4.70, Bung Lung $16, Kitty's Wish $13, $17 for Baby, $35 for Miss Teresa. And then we go over the page to the other runners here, and Baroka Vogue is at big odds, as too as Follow Suit, 33 and 76 respectively. Cabello about $12.90, Latilla in the betting at $8.10, and Amy's Blushing at $110.20. That's what tote punters have made of race number 2 on the card. As we watch Bella Toolin going up to the gates, let's go to the betting ring, and Anthony Mithen can bring us up to date with the latest from down there.
Well, Peter, I think punters, a bit like Brian